How's everybody doing tonight? Go ahead and see. I'm actually going to go ahead and set it up so that if you'd like to participate, I'm all about participation together rather than me just sitting up here and talking all night long. So we're going to change the format next month. We're going to set it up more of a meeting so that I can see you guys as well as talk with you guys. So thanks for joining. Feel free to say hey in the chat box. Let me know where you're from, if this is your first time or if you've been attending before. This is the Ultimate Foreclosure Supergroup. Ultimate Foreclosure Formula Supergroup. We go into all 3 stages of foreclosure. I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia, and we meet here once a month, 7 o'clock Eastern time, 4th Tuesday every month. So hope you guys can join us over and over again. And if you don't make it in person, some of these are amazing at REI USA, the different speakers. Wow, it's good stuff. And to get them included as a member here, it's just really good to take advantage of. So anyway, talk to me, tell me, have you been in the business? Are you doing real estate now? Are you familiar with foreclosures? What level of the business are you on? I mean, I like to kind of gear what I'm saying towards the audience, but I do have my little slideshow set up. So I will go along my path. And if you've got a certain skill level, then we'll take a rabbit trail down that skill level, whatever it might be. Anyway, so I am Darlene, Queen of Foreclosures. Been in the business now over 30 years, actually. And it took me a year to get my first deal done. And the more you hang around me, the more you listen to some of the things I talk about. I love what I do. I love helping new investors. I love creating joint ventures together and just putting my expertise on the table and help us get to the closing table. So I started in 91, actually started in 90. It took me till 91 to get my first deal done. And it was a HUD foreclosure. And then my next deal was a VA foreclosure. And then I bought a property on MLS that was a corporate relo. So I got a pretty good deal there. And then back to back, I got 4 REOs. Those are real estate owned. Those are stage 3 real estate, stage 3 foreclosure. About 4 in a matter of 6 months, 4 townhomes in Lawrenceville and Gwinnett County, 40,000, 45,000, 45,000, 50,000. And those were all part of the savings and loan collapse. And that's back in early 90s, 91, 92, 93, 94, got my license in 94. So I became a real estate agent also, but mostly to help me as an investor. And then I learned a bunch of crazy things, how to creatively buy real estate. You know, we use the subject to process, how to understand, and fast forward about 10 years into 2000, and I learned short sales. And anyway, so I've been working foreclosures ever since and have put some numbers on the board. So I'm here to help you put numbers on the board. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jump right into it because, you know, once I get started, I have a lot to talk about. And you guys, please, like I said, I have given you the opportunity to participate. You can you put it in the chat box, or you could speak out loud and just say, hey, Darlene, I'm so-and-so. I just have a quick question for you, and we'll go there. If there's anything you'd like to hear tonight, let me know in the chat box, and I'll try to get down that path as well. So foreclosures are on the rise, and that's like the hot topic. I've been in a lot of different meetup groups speaking about foreclosures on the rise. And, you know, if you listen to the media, there's so many different opinions about whether or not, you know, the inventory shortage will change, whether or not prices are going to drop. Are we going to have another recession? And I've got a lot to tell you about that. And I have been in it and have watched foreclosures day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out in Georgia, as well as other states. And I can tell you that foreclosures are on the rise. So they are on the horizon. You need to learn what you need to do to be able to get into the business of buying houses in foreclosure. So there's 3 stages of foreclosure. In a lot of the past classes that I've spoken at REI USA, you can go back and listen to the recordings, and I'll go through all 3 stages. I'll talk to you about how to buy at the foreclosure auctions online, how to go to the courthouse steps in Georgia and buy, or in other states, there's judicial and non-judicial processes. And right now, the forbearance and the foreclosure moratoriums have ended. People say, what's next? What can we expect? Some people say there's not going to be a foreclosure tsunami. Darlene says, yes, there is. There's going to be a rise in foreclosures without a doubt. I have purchased foreclosure lists in the state of Georgia for every month for years and years. And what we just experienced in 2021 and 2020 is about a little bit lower numbers of the number of foreclosure notices as we did 20 years ago in the year 2000, in the year 2001 and 2002. Those were kind of like all-time lows. We've hit the all-time low recently, but then from 2000 to 2010, we hit an all-time high. We went through the recession in 2007 and 8. So then we got to the top of the number of foreclosures. Here in Atlanta, in Georgia, we had over 200,000 foreclosures in 1 year. And just to give you an idea, this month, we have 1,203 foreclosures in the entire state of Georgia, in the entire state. So that's not hardly any at all. So that, though, 1,203 foreclosures right now facing April 5th foreclosure date is twice as much as we've had for the last 2 years. So for March 2020, a little bit at the beginning of the pandemic, from March of 2020 all the way through the end of last year, 2021, foreclosures were pretty much less than 600 foreclosures a month in the entire state of Georgia. When you look at our big counties in Atlanta, you have Gwinnett County and Cobb County and Cherokee County and Fulton County, DeKalb County, Clayton County. Typically in the height of the market of foreclosures, we had 1,000 to 3,000 a month in each county. And right now we're looking at 1,200 in the entire state. So that's what's facing April 5th. The March 1st auction, we had just over 800, and that was an increase from the last 2 years. So prior to March, we have had not more than 600, in most cases, not more than 500 foreclosures a month in the state of Georgia. And I talk about Georgia because this is where I live day in and day out. I'm in foreclosures. Some areas in the country, you're going to see rises, and some areas aren't going to be as much in inventory as you're going to see here. But we are going to have an increase in foreclosure inventory. So the forbearance has ended. The moratoriums, for the most part, have ended, or they'll be ending in the next 30 days. And so that opens up the lender to be able to foreclose at will based on the foreclosure laws of each state. So if you're just joining me now, again, I've opened up so that you can participate. If you'd like to speak, just say, hey, Darlene, it's so-and-so. I'd like to talk about such and such, or I have a question, or feel free to go in the chat box, however you prefer to do that. Buying houses in all 3 stages of foreclosure, it's an amazing niche in the business. If you learn how to work foreclosures, you may have heard the term REO. REO is real estate owned. It's bank owned properties. So foreclosures go through, it goes through, a stage. Stage 1 is pre-foreclosure. And that's when the loan goes into default. When the loan is in default, we call that pre-foreclosure. As a real estate investor, we buy a lot of properties in pre-foreclosures when there's, at a time like this, when it's difficult to compete at the foreclosure steps or on the online auctions. So dealing in stage one, which is pre-foreclosures, is where you should be right now. But you should be getting ready. In the next 6 months, I predict we're going to see the foreclosures number more than double. So we've already gone for 2 years. We've been below the line, below the graph of the lowest number of foreclosures ever because of the pandemic, because of the government's intervention. Foreclosures has been at the bottom of the graph. So that's for 24 months, from March to March. And now we're only starting to see it increase a little bit because the moratorium is over on foreclosures, because the forbearance is over on foreclosures. So we've gone from, again, I'll just use Georgia numbers because I know them pretty well, 600 in the entire state per month. Now we've gone to 800 in 1 month. And then the next month, now we've gone to 1,203. So in April 5th's foreclosure, we're at the 1,203. I'm saying that in the next foreclosure, which we're looking at, would be May 3rd. On May 3rd, I would not be surprised if we're already at 2,000 foreclosures showing up for the May 3rd auction. And if it's not May 3rd, it's going to be June or July. We're going to go to 2,000. And once we get to that number, we're going to start seeing the numbers double and quadruple. So this is what I'm saying is now's the time to get in the business. Now's the time to prepare yourself. If you don't know how to work foreclosures, again, we have a lot of training on the website in the members area of REI USA. Lots of good training, whether you want to go down the short sale path, subject to path, creative financing, all cash at closing, whatever you want to do. Now's the time to get started because there will be an inventory increase. You know, buying directly from the homeowners, buying direct motivated sellers, is we're talking to people in pre-foreclosure. And, you know, I have investors all the time that I'm teaching, and I forget this. I forget every now and then to remind people that the business is about creating the deal. You have to create the deal. It's not just out there waiting for you. You know, even as much as some folks say, look, I've got $5,000 a month I could spend on marketing. Let me put my marketing dollars to work. You still have to create the deal. So you have to learn the basics, you know, and I have on the screen here in pre-foreclosures, buying directly from the homeowner, use lead sheets. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. Regardless, I listed out here a bunch of different ways of finding motivated sellers, right? So no matter whether you're going to do direct mail or email or outbound calls or inbound calls, whatever it is, you have to learn how to use your lead sheets. I call them property information sheets, and learn how to find out what the person needs. That's what we have to do when it comes to dealing with motivated sellers. So that's kind of where I wanted to go tonight is right now, talking to sellers and buying real estate in pre-foreclosure stage is the best way to compete out there. It's the best way to find enough inventory that you can buy real estate. If you're going to the foreclosure auction, whether you're in a judicial state or a non-judicial state, the competition is stiff. You know, the amount of cash buyers in the single family home market is huge. And those cash buyers that are hedge funds or big REITs, you know, that they could afford to spend a lot more on a property than we can. So if you go to stage 2, which is buying at the foreclosure itself, you need really deep pockets, and that's actually the legal process, where if the property is in pre-foreclosure and it doesn't get stopped, it has to go through foreclosure in order for the lender to take possession of the property. Now, in some cases, it's sold to a third party. In a lot of cases, in such a strong market like this, stage 2, the properties are sold. But in some cases, they go back to the bank. And it used to be when we were buying at the steps back in the early 2000s, all of the FHA loans, all of the VA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac backed loans, all of them went back to the lender because nobody would bring that much cash and pay that much for a property that was owed on the loan. And in those particular loans, because they were insured in a sense, the lender could collect on that insurance policy, if you will, from Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, HUD, and VA. And so those went back to the bank almost all the time. But now that we've got Wall Street hedge funds buying in our space, a lot of those FHA and VA loans are being sold to third parties. Anyway, that's stage two. Stage two, we have legal closure. Now the lender owns the property. They sell it to a third party or they take it back. If they take it back, it goes into stage three, which is the REO process. I've got some tapes on REI USA. Isn't that funny? It shows my age, doesn't it? I got some tapes. I got some training on REI USA and how to go buying on the REO auctions. So I have about 7 different auction platforms that I like to look at every week. And right now it's kind of dismal. The numbers are in single digits, maybe almost in double digits of inventory that's available. But I started off the night by talking about foreclosures are on the rise, and now's the time to prepare yourself. So you should be looking at REO platforms. Auction.com is one of the most popular. HUD, HUD, homestore.com. That's where all the FHA REOs are. Those 2 sites right there. You've got Hubzu, HUB like baby, ZU.com, Hubzu.com. They have some of the Aquin loans, those are the old option 1 loans, those kind of things. These are the ones that are foreclosed as REOs. Those are the ones, go on their websites. They have some of them, probably the majority of foreclosures out there. Auction.com, HUD Home Store, Hubzu, Hudson and Marshall. The Fannie Mae REOs are on the website. They're on the homepath.com. And then Freddie Mac loans are on homesteps.com. So those are your most there. You could go out there and start looking. You should be bidding on properties constantly. And the thing about foreclosures is they don't just go to the foreclosure auction and that's it, and they foreclose and they're done. A lot of times the foreclosure is stopped, which is why we're in pre-foreclosure stage right now. That's what we're going to be talking about. In the pre-foreclosure stage, you have to learn how to get good there. And if you're working the same geographical area over and over again, if you work a pre-foreclosure and it goes to foreclosure, you can follow it to the end. So if you don't buy it in pre-foreclosure, you've already done your due diligence. Now go to the steps. Or if you're in a judiciary state, go inside the courthouse. It'll be auctioned off in front of the judge. You could go there. Or if it goes back to the lender, now you follow it to stage 3. So you've already got your work going on. So I think that personally, we're about 6 months out before we're going to start seeing the foreclosures come through the pipeline for us on our level as individual local investors. We're going to start seeing probably about 6 months from now, but before we really start seeing enough inventory where we can get up there and possibly compete at the steps if you've got enough cash in your pocket, or where you can buy on the REO platforms. So right now it's just, again, single digits. So I'm going to get a list, look for pre-foreclosures, buy directly from the homeowner. These are the lead questions that you have to know. And this doesn't matter whether or not you're dealing with pre-foreclosure owners or any other kind of motivated seller. What you're looking for is, Mr. Jones, what's your situation? Why are you selling? And if it's a pre-foreclosure, I say, what's your situation? Tell me what happened. And then I start taking bunches of notes, right? I want to take a bunch of notes. This right here, my investor friends, this is where the business is. This is what you have to get good at. Once you find a property that may be in distress or a homeowner that may be motivated, you have to understand how to lead them in a certain way to create a win-win situation. Remember, you're creating the deal. It's mostly not just going to be out there for you. Mr. Jones, what's your situation? Tell me what happened. I'm so sorry to hear that. I've been working with families now for about 20 years facing foreclosure, and we'll do everything we can. Tell me this, what do you hope to have happen? And the answers here usually are, well, I want to keep my house, or I just want to stop the foreclosure. I want to get this off I don't want to have a foreclosure on my record. I just want to stop the foreclosure and walk away from this. Or they may say, well, I'd like to sell my house before the foreclosure and make some money doing it. So those are the three things, generally speaking. What would you like to have happen? If some people said, well, I don't know what you mean. Well, are you trying to sell your house, or are you trying to keep it? Oh, I absolutely want to keep my house. So if they want to keep their house, I'm going to do what I can as a good Samaritan and help them keep their house, because I'm going to stay in touch with them. Typically what happens if someone is in pre-foreclosure, guess what? They come back again and again, unfortunately for them. So what's your situation? Why are you selling? What do you hope to have happen? And this is the all cash question. If we paid all cash and closed on the day of your choice, what's the lowest you would take? The question for pre-foreclosures, do you have a mortgage? Would you be willing to walk away for what you owe on it? So those are your basic get started questions when you find somebody who needs to sell a house. Talk to me, guys. You can unmute yourself and contribute, or you can talk in the chat box. Talk to me. What do you guys know? Has anybody dealt with any of this? Are you guys, I know a couple of you said you're brand new in the business. Trying to find out where to go. This is the property information sheet. In a little bit, I'm going to give you, this is my Bible, as we call it, right? In the business, I live by this. So I have my spreadsheets here. I've got my clipboards. Can you see my screen? I got my clipboard. Here's one of my property information sheet. These go everywhere with me. I highly recommend you guys get a couple of them. Those questions that I just showed you, like on this last page here, whoops, these questions are part of this property information sheet. So it says at the top, you get the contact information, and then look, what's your situation? Why are you selling? What do you want to have happen? How long have you owned the property? How do you get your price? When's the last time repairs were done? Is the house rented, occupied, vacant, and so on and so forth. I'm going to show you, I'll give you a good place. And again, I'll give you a link to get this yourself. But in the beginning, when you're getting started, you want to break the ice. You want to be able to learn how to talk to them. So they call you, or you call them, or you get business cards and you go out and tell everybody, hey, I'm looking to buy a house this year, to buy, fix and flip, or to buy and keep as a rental property. I want to be a landlord this year. Whatever you want to tell people, say, do you know anybody who needs to sell a house? Then you got to learn how to build rapport, small talk. So back to this sheet again, this right here, this is part of that property information sheet. This is just the small talk, building rapport. The reason I ask, tell me about the house. How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? How about the size? Do you know what the square footage is? When was the house built, or how old is it? Does it have a basement? Is it finished? Is it unfinished? Are there any more bedrooms or bathrooms down there? How big is your lot? And so on. So the reason for this part is for me just to try to get past my nervousness of talking to a stranger and, and getting information from them. So that's kind of what I do with this, right? This is part of the property information sheet. In the beginning, you could just follow it straight down the list of all the questions and go straight down. But as you get experienced with it, as you've asked enough people this property information questions, then you can decide whether you come in at the bottom, at the middle, or at the top. And what I mean by that, if I'm emailing or if I'm mailing direct mail to a pre-foreclosure and they call me and they say, hey, I got your letter, tell me how this works. And I say, thank you, what's your name? Spell that. And what's a phone number in case we get disconnected? What's the address of the property? And then I'll go right into what's your situation? Tell me what happened. I'm sorry to hear that. Been helping families for a long time. Or I work with a team who's been helping families for a long time. That's what a lot of our new investors say who work with us. And then we get down to the point that once we get to that point, now This is your cheat sheet. This is a good sheet. This is a good screen right here to take a screenshot. All those areas are the important parts. You know, again, you see what I put here. Tell me what happened. What's your situation? Tell me what happened. That's the difference of what I ask when I know it's a pre-foreclosure call versus just some, you know, distressed property or cold call that I might have made out to somebody. Otherwise it says, what's your situation? Why are you selling? I don't know that the pre-foreclosure is selling yet. So what I'm trying to do is, again, try to build the rapport and lead them down the direction I want to go in. So look at all the arrows there. You know, what's your situation? Tell me what happened. What do you want to have happen? I just want to stop the foreclosure and get a fresh start. Okay. And I'm going to go right down to the yellow area. If we can stop the foreclosure, would you be willing to walk away from your home for what you owe on it? Where will you go and when? Do you see those red circles? Where will you go and when? That's some of like the most important part when you're talking to distressed owners. If they live in the house, you have to get them out. You cannot close until you know that they know where they're going to go and when. So if they said, when you said, what's your situation? Tell me what happened. What do you want to have happen? And they say, I just want to be done with this. Where are you going to go? I have no idea. Well, how are you going to get there? I have no idea. Do you have money saved? No, that's why I'm in foreclosure. Well, we have been working with families for a long time. And as a matter of fact, I have a field services team. And we do a lot to help families. We don't just buy and sell houses. We also help you move. In some cases, if you don't know where you're going to go, we might be able to help you there. I'll tell you guys, investors, I no longer, I tell my team, we don't help them rent houses. That's just my model. Your model might be different. We do everything. We'll help them pack. We'll help them do a yard sale. We'll help them move. We'll help them put their stuff in storage. We will rent storage for them. Some cases we rent extended stay up to a month or 2 months for them if there's enough equity in the deal. In some cases, we may put up a security deposit for them so that they can get their fresh start. So basically, bottom line is we're trying to find out how much cash do you need at closing to be able to move? What do you need? Do you need help? Can I bring a crew and a truck and a dumpster? Can I help you do that? So that's what we're trying to find out, is what we need to do for a win-win situation. You'll see at the bottom, it says existing mortgage information. In the existing mortgage information, I'm going to go back through the beginning. Somebody called me because I put a flyer on their door. I went door knocking and I left the flyer and they say, hey, I got your flyer. Can we talk? Yes, ma'am. What's your name? What's your phone number? Tell me the address of the property. Tell me what happened. What's your situation? Oh my God, you know, this, that, and the other, and so on. And I am so sorry to hear that. What are you hoping to have happen? I just want to walk away. Okay. Are you currently living in the house? And how long have you owned the house? And I'm going to drop right down to the existing mortgage information because I like to do subject to deals. And so my subject to deal means the loan will stay in their name, but I will make the payments on their behalf. And I will bring the loan current on their behalf. So that's the purpose of the existing mortgage information box. So if I'm going through the process and I say, okay, so how long have you owned it? Tell me about when's the last time you've made a payment? Do you remember what month that was? And how much is your monthly payment? Does that include your taxes and insurance? And all this is kind of for me in that mortgage information box. When's the last time you talked to the lender? When you spoke to the lender, tell me about the conversation. I'm trying to figure out if they had a forbearance, if they had a loan modification, if they had a bankruptcy, because all of this leads me in a certain direction on pre-foreclosures. And that's what you have to do. You know, you have to get good to that point of understanding what are the key questions that I have to ask? What's the key information that I need? Where will you go and when? When's the last time you spoke to your lender? It tells me which bucket of people are they in. There's the ostriches that put their head in the sand. And those are the ones that say, I can't remember the last time I spoke to my lender. They're just hoping the problem goes away. So I know I got a lot of work to do when that happens. The ones that say they just spoke to the lender. I just talked to them yesterday morning. Tell me about the conversation. How much will it take to bring the loan current? On the property information sheet, it says, what's the amount in arrears? And I say, I use the language more easier for people to understand. How much will it take to bring the loan current? Did your lender tell you that? Yeah, they said it'd be about $16,000. So how many months have you, how many months are owed? Have you ever filed a bankruptcy? These are important questions for me because it helps me understand what is needed, right? What is needed to bring it current. Now, my existing mortgage information, that area of the property information sheet, that is your goal. That is my goal. I want to know as quick as I can that information right there, because that tells me what my acquisition strategy is. Can I take this subject to, or do I have to get a brand new loan? Do I have to bring all cash to the closing? In me, I'm a hybrid. So I'm a real estate investor and I'm a real estate broker. And I can do short sale listings, et cetera, et cetera. So I have many, many different, and I wholesale. So I wholesale, I fix and flip, I buy and hold, and I broker listings. So there's a lot of ways for me to make money in real estate. How about you? You know, what's your model? What is it that you want real estate to do for you? Are you looking to make cash flow so you can quit a day job? You know, are you looking for $20,000 this year just so that you can then decide to buy and hold as a landlord? You know, what is it that you're trying to accomplish? And for me, this existing mortgage information box, these basic arrows, these basic questions help me understand what my exit strategy could be, what my acquisition strategy could be. And those are what I have to know. I have to know what the seller wants, how much cash do they need at closing, how much time and help do they need to move. And if they don't know where they're going, you know, I have to, sometimes I'm going to stop. I'm going to put time out. I'm going to say, look, you guys don't know where you're going. You got to figure it out. Now, you know, like right now, it's the 22nd of March, right? The foreclosure is April 5th. So we've got basically, we're down to 2 weeks. We're 2 weeks from today is the foreclosure auction. So I've got 1 week to get them closed, basically. I mean, I got less than, you know, I've got between now and the end of next week to get them closed. And they have to find a place to move. So sometimes your job is not necessarily how to figure out how to close right away, but it may be how to figure out how to postpone, stay, stop the foreclosure, those kind of things. Speaking of stopping, I'm going to stop for a second. How you guys doing? Talk to me. Any questions, comments? What do you guys think about foreclosures? Step up to the plate. Come talk to me. You have to unmute yourself if you want to participate. Otherwise, you're just going to have to keep listening to me. I'll keep talking. So that's it in a nutshell. Like I said, I'll give you a link to be able to get this property information sheet, and I'll get you the also the 5 easy steps of getting started in the business. And it goes into detail on how to let everyone you know that you're looking for houses. And then once you find a motivated seller, you go, what's the address? When can I come see it? And then when you get out there, you got your clipboard, right? You see, it says here, you should buy 2 clipboards. One goes in your car and one goes in your at your desk at home or office or wherever you work from, so that when the phone rings, you got your property information sheet. And I fill these out all the time. I got information on the front, I got information on the back, and that's where I start. And that's my story. And so then if they don't want to move, I don't have anything to do with that deal. I don't have anywhere to go with it. And I say, well, you know, we have been helping lots of families, and I get it, you know, that you're trying to figure out how to keep your house. And I'll give them options. I'll say, well, when's the last time you spoke to your lender? What you need to do is call your lender and let them know. Have you tried to do a workout? Have you tried to do a loan modification? And most people don't tell you that they have, but they have. They've tried. And especially in these last couple of years, the lenders have been trying to do loan mods, you know, because one, they had a moratorium and they were not allowed to foreclose. So They would work with the owner. Let's see, what else can I tell you here? Remember, in yellow, that's the most important. If we can stop the foreclosure, would you be willing to walk away from the home for what you owe on it? Yes, no, maybe. They say, what do you mean by that? Well, I'm going to go right into the existing mortgage. Well, tell me this, what do you think the balance on your loan is? And who's your lender? And what's your monthly payment? And do you know, does that include your taxes and insurance? And when's the last time you made a payment? And do you know how much it's going to cost to bring the loan current? So I say, so basically what I'm asking is, if we could stop the foreclosure, would you be willing to walk away for the loan that you owe on it? Or do you have to have some cash at closing? Well, I need cash at closing. How much cash do you need at closing? In my model, I always try to give at least $1,000 to the homeowner. If I cannot give $1,000 to the homeowner, then I say the deal is too skinny and I shouldn't be doing the deal anyway. So I have a heart for people. Not only is this a real estate model for me, it's also a ministry to try to help people get ahead. And I have I've learned a lot. I know how to do this business pretty well of stopping foreclosure. And I got to bring it to a good place, right? So if somebody wants to save their house, I'm going to give them enough information to go out there, or I may get on the phone with them and the lender. So if I could stop the foreclosure, would you be willing to walk away from your home for what you owe on it? No, I got like $60,000 in equity. Are you saying you just want to buy my home for what I owe on it? Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Heck no, man. I got 60,000 equity. I want some of my equity. Okay. How much cash do you need at closing? Well, I need all of it. Okay. So you need 60,000. What are you going to do with it? Just going to put it in the bank? What if I could show you a way that your money could work for you rather than just sitting in the bank? Well, I still want all of my money at closing. Then the only deal you have there is to bring all of the cash to closing, whether it's your money, a loan, or what have you. If we could stop the foreclosure, would you be willing to walk away for what you owe on it? No, I mean, I need some money to get ahead. Well, how much cash do you need? Well, I need to be able to find a place to rent and so on. And I said, well, we can help you there too. What we do basically is try to help you get a fresh start. So sometimes we'll give you relocation assistance. Sometimes we will help you through the move. In some cases, we'll help put up the security deposit for you and maybe your first month's rent. In some cases, we might help you in an extended stay hotel. Put your stuff in storage if you need to. That's what we can do. And so I'm going to give information and then I'm going to end with a question. So if we can help you do that, how soon could you move? Well, I don't know. I'm just not prepared. Well, we also have a field service team that can help you do the packing. I have an answer to all of their problems, right? The only one I don't is I'm not going to help them rent. I'm not going to help them rent. And the reason for that is that it's too difficult to help somebody who is in foreclosure, in pre-foreclosure, qualify to rent a house. They have to want it so bad that they can find somebody that they pull on the heartstrings, right? And that they could find somebody and they could set up the rental. I can help pay for it. And I can help, through the process, but I'm not. And I say this because, again, I started helping families in foreclosure in the late 90s. And back in those times, in the early 2000s, we did try to help. And it was so much time and so much effort. And the whole deal was based on us trying to help them find a rental. We couldn't even do the foreclosure unless they, buy the deal, unless they found a place to rent. So they got to have some skin in the game where they're willing to do the work necessary. Right? Because if they're not willing to do it, then it's going to be all on my shoulders, and that is way too heavy. So it's kind of where the whole basis of pre-foreclosure is knowing what they need, knowing what they want, and knowing how to get what you want. And so that's kind of where, I put this together. Everybody in the business, if you've been in the business long enough, everybody has some sort of lead sheet. Some people have a CRM, this is a contact customer relationship management. It's a database of all your leads, right? Some people have an electronic property information sheet. Some people have on paper and some people have both. You decide what you want to have, but you have to have something. You cannot wing it. If you want to go out and buy one deal, maybe you can, but you basically need a system in play, and that's what this is all about. Questions, comments, anything? Creative offer types. Here's where we're headed. You know, there's an inflation's coming, right? There's going to be a crash somewhere in our future. It's inevitable. It will happen eventually. I'm not sure when, but it will happen. So what happens in real estate, that doesn't mean we stop buying properties, because what's exciting to me as real estate investors, we have a little bit of a perfect storm in front of us. If the economy goes bad, and if we have folks that are facing foreclosure, or even not even facing foreclosure, but they're upside down, if values come down and the mortgage is higher than the value of the property, that means it has no equity or low equity. It's okay, because I made these 7 options here. You know, if I take that property lease option number 2 or number 3, a subject to, I can still, or number 7, number 6 or number 7, a wraparound mortgage with seller finance, I can still make money on that property on a monthly basis. And if you market to properties that have no equity, you have less competition out there. So that's what we're getting ready to face in the couple of years to come, is seeing properties with no equity. And so you have to, again, in REI USA, Stacy has an amazing group of investors like us that are teaching you. And there's so many different programs, creative deal structures, learning how to go out there and find a deal. Bottom line is, once again, go back to that property information sheet. What's your situation? Why are you selling? Right? What's your situation? Why are you selling? What do you hope to have happen? I just want to be able to walk away from it. That's what you're looking for. I need all cash at closing. The ones who pump their chest and say, I need all cash at closing, there's not a whole lot you can do if there's no equity. You know, good luck. You know, I'm not your best buyer. I can help you sell the property. In a place like Atlanta, Georgia, I could probably sell, when it comes to houses, I could probably sell any house out here right now, right? Now, some folks are really unrealistic. And if they're really upside down, as long as they're willing to do whatever it takes to get it sold, if they're really upside down, but they don't live in the house anymore, it's vacant, they're still paying a mortgage payment, I'm going to say, look, you know, we might have to get your lender to allow us to do a short sale. Would you be open to listen to that? Would you be open to do that? So those are some of the things that we have to do. But no equity deals are exciting. You don't need equity deals all the time. Once you learn these different creative offer types. So of course, we all learn the all cash at closing. Everybody thinks, you know, you have to give all cash at closing. Out of all of the deals on the screen here, all cash at closing is typically the lowest offer amount for us as local real estate investors. Now, if you're a hedge fund, if you're Zillow, well, not Zillow anymore, right? But if you're Open Door or those big guys that are buying with all cash, they do pay too much. They pay too much, and they will pay a high price. Typically all cash buyers are not the highest paying buyers. And if you're paying all cash, you got to ask yourself, where's your profit? Is it in the monthly cash flow, or is it in the spread that you're going to turn around and flip it? So if it's a junker, if it's an ugly house and it needs a lot of work, paying all cash at closing is not a bad idea. But there's going to have to be equity in it. If there's no equity and you need to bring all cash at closing, I don't see where the deal is there, unless you don't mind putting your cash in it, renting it, and then refinancing it out. Lease option is a great strategy. Sometimes you can do a lease option, and we call these master leases or sandwich leases. A lease option just says you will lease the property with the option to buy it at a certain date in the future, but you're not obligated to buy it. So a lease option is a great way to leverage somebody else's asset. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to come up with all the funds for that. You just have to get somebody to agree to lease it to you with the right to allow you to lease it to someone else or sublet it, as we say. So number 2 would give you cash flow. So if you're trying to make cash flow, if you're looking for $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month, lease option should be definitely one of your models. Same thing with subject to. One of the nice things about subject to is you're taking over somebody else's loan. You don't have to qualify for it. You don't need an appraisal for it. You don't need it. You could close it in 7 to 10 days. You just got to get an attorney that will do a title search, or a title company, do a title search and get that done. That's all you need. And subject to, you're helping that person improve their credit, and you're helping yourself by owning property without putting your own credit up for qualifying. So subject to is also a very good buy and hold strategy. And the same thing, what you're looking for in subject to is the split between how much you're paying on the PITI, that's the principal, interest, tax, and insurance payment, versus how much you can rent it for. I mentioned earlier, as investors, we have the perfect storm, because at least the last decade, the interest rates have been rock bottom. So the mortgage payments versus the rent, the market rent for the same house, the spread is getting wider and wider. You could, up until now, you could get a house, you could pay a mortgage on a house for a lot less than you could rent the house in most areas. And so if you're able to take a property subject to, and you've got the mortgage payment, you could probably make a spread of about $400 or more per month on that property, even when there's no equity. And that's the beauty right there, is taking that subject to deal when there's no equity, but the spread is $400 or more a month. And when I say spread, that means that's the part you're going to make, right? You're paying for the mortgage plus the taxes plus the insurance, and you're getting rent $400 higher than that amount. And these are general statements. You know, you could, if you're as we call us, a bean counters, right? If we're the accountant types, the brainy types, then we're going to say, well, you know, Darlene, you got this cost and that cost. Yes. Just generally speaking, there's a spread. You know, you got to take all your costs into consideration, without a doubt. Number 4 is an option. And number 4, a lot of times new investors will say, hey, I found somebody who has some land that they want to sell. And I say, okay, what are you going to do with it? I have no idea. It's like 14 acres and it's out in the middle of cow pasture, and I don't know. I said, well, how much do they want to sell it to you for? And it's X. And I would say, what I would do is I would ask for an option. So I would give them, maybe I'd give them $100, and I'd say, I'd like an option to buy your land for the next 10 years. And then I would turn around and I would record that option, so that if I could find a buyer and I could double close that, I would exercise my option and sell it to somebody else simultaneously. That's when I would exercise my option. There's no lease, there's no cost to me monthly, there's no other cost. It's an option, not an obligation. So I use an option in a property when somebody wants to walk away, but I can't see the gold at the end of the rainbow, right? I can't see how to make money on the deal, but I'm going to put an option out there so that I potentially could make some money if I found the solution. Short sale only works in pre-foreclosure. Subject to works in pre-foreclosure, but subject to works outside of foreclosures also. Anybody that has a mortgage that's willing to walk away, you can do subject to. Short sale only works in pre-foreclosure, and it only works when the loan is in default. The lender has to be willing to sell the house for less than is owed on it, and the borrower has to be willing to have the house sold for less than is owed on it. And that's a short sale. That's basically taking a house that has no equity and adding equity to it. And then wraparound mortgage and seller financing. Wraparound mortgage is a form of seller financing. Seller financing, free and clear, I just put it there as an option of creative deals. If there's a mortgage, you can ask them to do seller finance, and you would wrap the existing mortgage. And that's a subject for another day because that's a really big subject in itself. But wraparound mortgages on properties that have no equity sometimes is a good structure also. Once again, as long as there's money to be made, and that would be potentially like, monthly cash flow. And my exit strategy on those vary. They could vary from I'm just putting a tenant in there, or I'm turning around and I'm putting a seller finance deal on my exit. And I like to do that because if I sell on seller financing, I could put money in all three buckets: cash now, cash flow, and cash later. If I just put a tenant in a house, I'm only getting cash now. Whereas if I sell it to them, or I do a lease option on my sale, on my exit side, I could put money in bucket number 1 and bucket number 2. And later on, possibly own a home free and clear, or cash in later when they cash me out. So I'm always trying to figure out, real estate is a means to an end. Here are my 3 buckets. Where am I looking? Which buckets do I want to fill up with money? Cash now, cash flow, or cash later, or combination of. So your success will be a direct result of how many sellers you talk to. You have to know why they are selling and how to structure the deal to meet their needs. Good stuff, right? And as much as I'd like to say, let's go buy foreclosures on the foreclosure auction, we've got probably about 6 months before we're going to see enough foreclosure inventory for us, for the prices to be anywhere near the neighborhood that we want to buy in as far as pricing. All right. So you got to get out here and you got to hit the bricks. You got to go out there and find the sellers and create the deal. So remember, property information sheet, you see these arrows. These are your key questions. These are the key points that you want to get to. You see where it says in the middle where it's highlighted, if we can stop the foreclosure, would you be willing to walk away from your home for what you owe on it? If there is no foreclosure, the same property information sheet works. If somebody has a mortgage, you line through if we can stop the foreclosure, and you just say, Mr. Jones, would you be willing to walk away from your home for what you owe on it? And he says, yeah, I would, because the home is worth $10,000 less than I own on it. How much is your mortgage payment? Does that include your taxes and insurance? Is your mortgage up to date? And how soon did you want to close? And if that's what the person says, bang, man, we got a deal. And so that's why I like to use this kind of lead sheet. I mentioned, see, you could do this QR code, just take a picture, or you could take this bonus right here. Whoops, let me try to grab it and give it to you. I don't know if I can do this. Control C. That's if you want to get the property information sheet, that's the lead sheet that I've been telling you about. You can get that. Also, again, just like I said, getting started, just my ebook, getting started in the business is included there for you. So that's something that you could have. Lots of good stuff. We also do free deal analysis. So if you do find, let's say you're out there and you're driving to the grocery store, you're driving kids to school or whatever the case is, and you come across a vacant property, what you should do, you could go to my website, ultimateforeclosureformula.com, and you'll click on the investor resources and go down till you see where it says submit a potential deal. That's this site here, free deal analysis. Go there and put your information, and it doesn't matter where in the country you are. We've got it set up so there's some preliminary deal analysis in here. And what happens is, as I said, go there, click on investor resources, submit a potential deal, and then you'll get a lot of, it's a web form. This goes right to Podio. We use Podio as our CRM. So this feeds into Podio, and if you put enough information in there, such as the square footage and the year built, it'll spit out. If you know what the Zillow estimate is on there, it'll spit out a preliminary analysis and tell you what we think the ARV is, the after repaired value, and what the MAO, the maximum allowable offer is. And this is just basic. And then you'll get an email back, and I'll get an email back, and we would, I'll call you and talk to you about it and see if there's some way to help you structure one of the deals that we were talking about. And that's where, oh my God, I did what you said. I said, what's your situation? Why are you selling? What do you want to have happen? And they said, yes. Now what do I do? This is what you do. You come to Ultimate Foreclosure Formula, you type in the deal and say, help me, please. I met you on REI USA and I don't know what to do. So that's what you want to do, is just put it in there. That's one way to do it. This is what you get back. You'll get back the prelim analysis. I highlighted there on the right. That's what it puts out. The cash mayo, that's your maximum allowable offer, based on the Zillow's estimate. And I have, if you put in the Bed Bath square foot year built, I have a grid where we've done so many rehabs that I have a grid that says if it's older than 1970 and it's less than 1,500 square foot, it's going to be $65,000 to do the renovation. Or if it's newer than 2010 and it's 1,200 square foot, it's going to take $10,000, things like that. So we build that in there. And then if you put your own information, if you know how to do some calculations and you say, well, I know what my renovation budget is, and here's what I think the ARV is, you'll see that this is our preliminary, the one at the top right here on the right-hand side, 119,639, and yours will come out. It'll spit it out for you. And that cash mayo is based on flipping a property. This is not a buy and hold formula. This is a fix and flip formula. So that if you're going to buy a property and do the renovation to bring it to today's walk-in, move-in ready standards, then we'll give you the basic. This just gives you the basic mayo. And that means you're going to make a profit. Our profit is built in here to be, I want to say it's built in to be about 15%. So based on all the costs associated with flipping houses, you'd make about a 15% return off the ARV. So in this particular case, let's call it 130,000 is the ARV. Then yours would be $45,000 profit on this particular deal. And that's just a prelim analysis. Again, it's just our way of giving back. If there's anything we can do to help you, no matter what state you're in, if you guys need help, the bottom line is just go out and do it. The REI USA Facebook group, the REI USA, just in general, we're here to give back. So anything we can do for you, we're here. And again, as a refresher, I just want to remind you that my class is the fourth Tuesday of every month, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And I'd love to see you guys again. And I really would love you guys to participate, while we're teaching. So if you want to let me know some foreclosure topics that you'd like to hear in the future, just let me know on the Facebook group, on the REI USA Facebook group. And I'll be happy to introduce those on some of the classes in the future. But that's all I have, guys. So any questions or comments, say them out loud or put them in the chat box. Mr. Tingle, I see you're here, Mr. Tingle. How are you? Are you up next?
No, actually not. I'm just here to check you out tonight.
Well, very good, because foreclosures are on the horizon, aren't they?
It's about time.
I know it. I know it.
I hate to see anybody, get into trouble, but it's we can always help if it happens. And, a lot of times we help them actually save their house. So it works out for everybody.
Absolutely. Hey, while you're here, so William Tingle does the subject to class. Amazing. Good stuff. What's your time slot? When do you teach for REI USA?
I am on the first Saturday of every month. And we've been moving across the country. I am so messed up now on time. I believe it's 2 p.m. Eastern.
Gotcha. That's great. Yeah. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to put my email in here. If you guys need anything, if you're working on deals, definitely reach out to me. Otherwise, like I said, stay tuned because, in Georgia, you're in Georgia now, right, William?
No, actually not. We just got to Florida about 3 weeks ago. We're going to be here in Apollo Beach for about 5 months.
Oh, good for you. That sounds like fun.
Yeah. So, we're having a good time. It has been nice.
You know, I was telling at the beginning of the class, and I guess I got to hang up here. It's 8 o'clock. I was telling at the beginning of the class how for the last 2 years, Georgia, we've had less than 600 a month. And last month we made it over 800. This month we're over 1,200 for the first time in 2 years. So
Yeah.
I think we'll be over 2,000 in the next couple months, and then we'll double, quadruple. And before you know it, we're up to 4, 5, 6,000 foreclosures a month again.
Yeah, I know. I got started down in Macon, and we used to buy, gosh, 2 or 3 foreclosures a month down there. We had 120 or so a month just in Bibb County
Yes.
back then. Yeah.
Yes. I hear you. Right.
Mhm.
1,200 in the whole state. It's pathetic. And yet at the same time, it's we're going to see it change.
Yep, for sure.
It'll be
Well,
back.
and you hear that. I know you got to get off in here, but I saw somebody in a group the other day talking about real estate's only going to go up and up and up. And I'm like, were you born in 2007? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's not going to keep going up. One day, as they say, what goes up, it's got to come down.
That's right.
Well, thanks. I'm glad to have you.
Yeah, it was good to see you. I just wanted to pop on here and see what you guys are going. Always, Darlene, you've always got a lot of good content, so everybody
you.
should come out and check you out.
Appreciate that. And thank you guys. Hope to see you around. Take care, everybody.
All right. Good night.
Good night.